G'day, this is Praveen Gautam, your trusted dental marketing advisor. Now, currently we are facing obviously two crises. One is a health crisis. The other one is a financial crisis where people are not sure about the dental practice. And obviously, that's why we just thought, to give you a quick live update about what's happening in the stimulus package. And I have got my good friend, Albert Gigl, from MW Partners, trusted dental accountant. G'day, Albert. Welcome to the short live show, mate.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Prabin. And I'm just hoping that we can really briefly give people some additional information regarding the stimulus packages that have been put forward.
Absolutely, mate. So what's happening? Yeah, please go. I just put that on the PowerPoint now. Stimulus package entitlement. So you have so where we are at, mate, at the moment.
Okay, all right. So it was put through Parliament last night. Everyone probably saw it on the news this morning. Finished up around about 10:30. So there hasn't been a lot of press about it, and most of it went through the way that the announcements have preceded this. So who is able to get a JobKeeper payment?
Yes.
The JobKeeper payment goes to the employer, does not go to the employee.
Right.
So it goes to the employer.
Yes.
And it would also go to an ABN contractor, because the JobKeeper payment is in fact a subsidy for the wage that the employer pays or would have paid to that employee.
Okay.
So the amount that is available, everyone knows, is $1,500 per fortnight.
Yes.
That amount is taxable.
Right.
So when you receive the $1,500, you won't get $1,500. There'll be some tax taken out of that amount. Only a small amount, but there will be some tax taken out.
Right.
So don't feel you've been short paid when you do get less than $1,500 a fortnight.
Right.
But there will be tax taken out of it. The way to get the payment is for the employer to apply to the ATO. Now, I heard that around about 700,000 employers have already applied to the ATO.
Wow.
That's step
700,000.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And there certainly will be more. There is no time restriction on applying.
Yes.
So if the employer applies next week or the week after or the week after that, it is in fact backdated to the 1st of April. So all of this month will get covered for the workers that are there.
Right.
But it's essential to understand that it is a subsidy that the government is paying to the employer.
Yes.
To then subsidise the wages they have already paid.
Yes.
And if they have paid less than $1,500 a fortnight to the worker, they will then pay the balance or uplift to it.
Right.
As I was saying before, the second stage of the how you apply is for the employer to advise the tax office of the tax file number for the employees that are eligible or that they believe are eligible to receive the payment.
Okay.
To be eligible, they must in fact be still in the employ of that employer in some capacity. So even if they're stood down, they're still technically in the employ.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Employee means you're talking payroll, right? Payroll.
Yes, they're on payroll. So this is applying to employees, employees only.
Yes.
Now you may get circumstances where they were casual, they may have been laid off or actually made redundant a number of weeks ago.
Yes.
Those employees would need to come back to the employer and ask whether they can go back onto the books to be able to be paid through this JobKeeper package.
And that's quite a big, actually, isn't it? I mean, I was reading through $130 billion, and that's the first time largest economy bailout in Australian, history. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, it's extreme. Well, all of the packages combined add up to around that 350 billion. Actually runs off the tongue now quite freely. It used to be millions. Now
Millions.
it's billions that run off the tongue. And when you actually look that
Yes.
Australia's total debt
Yes.
before all of this was about 550 billion.
Yeah.
So that's our debt that's accumulated over the last century or so.
Wow.
That's where we were at, and hoping to get into a small couple of $billion surplus to reduce some of that debt. We are probably now looking at going into doubling that debt and going towards $1 trillion of debt, which will obviously need to be repaid at some stage.
You bet. All right, that's great. Yep. So shall we go to the second slides? Obviously, stimulus. Yep, please.
Okay. I was, just before I go on to that,
sorry.
I was going to say that the payment to the employer won't occur until May.
Yes.
So if you've been stood down and you're not receiving any pay, you won't receive any pay from you may potentially not receive any pay from the employer.
Yes.
And it'll be when the employer receives that $1,500 that they then pass it on to you.
So pretty much,
so
just on that note, you just mentioned about the timeline in May. So what you're saying here is literally the money will hit in the bank on the May. Yeah, correct? Next month.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yep. So again, generally for most people, if they're being currently paid reduced hours, they're getting paid $1,500 a fortnight.
Yes.
They're being paid $2,000 a fortnight. Whatever they're being paid, their employer will still pay whatever they're paying under the employment arrangement. They may only be paying $200 a fortnight, but the employer would still pay the $200 a fortnight. When they receive the stimulus payment, the extra $1,300 would then be paid to that employer, and there will need to be a mechanism in the employer's payroll software to actually be able to record that that payment. So
that's brilliant.
On to the cash boost, because this bit's really important for businesses that are going to. I'm going to keep jumping around too, unfortunately. The other bit, because that does affect ABN contracting dentists.
Yes.
ABN contracting dentists who are not employees can apply for the JobKeeper payment of $1,500 a fortnight.
Yes.
But they do it in their own name with their personal ABN number and their personal tax file number. So they're entitled, they're not left out there having to join the unemployment queue.
Yep.
And there's a few more hurdles they need to jump through, but I don't believe that there are any circumstances that would preclude an ABN contracting dentist from getting that JobKeeper payment. So, sorry, I'll jump forward again onto the slide that we've got.
So it is important to cover that. Makes sense.
With us. So there's a cash boost of between $20,000 and $100,000. It was lifted when they did the second lot of stimulus payments.
Yes.
It's for any small business that does in fact have employees.
Yes.
Okay. So you need to have employees. The amount of your cash boost is based on the amount of tax that you normally take out of the pay for all the workers that you have.
Yes.
So if in the March quarter, you had taken out, let's say $10,000. No, I won't say that. I'll say $15,000 in tax.
Yes.
Then the amount of boost that you're able to apply for is $15,000.
Right.
In stage one.
Okay.
When we get to stage two, which is the June and September BAS, okay, you would then, provided you're still operating, okay, you've still got operations going, even on a limited basis.
Yes.
You will then get that $15,000 again. So you'll get two payments, 15 and 15, $30,000 in total. Obviously, if you were paying a lot of wages and you had a tax of $55,000 for the quarter of March, you're capped at $50,000.
Yep.
So you can only get $50,000 because that's where the cap is.
Right.
And then again, when you get to stage 2, you'll get that second $50,000 at that time. So you'll end up getting the full 100,000. If you're below that, if you're below $10,000 in a quarter,
Yep.
you'll get the minimum amount of $10,000, and again, you'll get that twice. That'll add up to $20,000 that everyone should be entitled to.
No, that's really
The
good. At least
second,
something is, there for everyone, no matter, what sort of the,
yep,
finance they are in, isn't it?
that's right. It's a tax-free payment.
Yep.
Okay, and the way that you get it is by lodging your business activity statement.
Yeah. Which
So
obviously
you need to
accountant would
yep,
be doing for you, isn't it?
yeah,
Pretty much.
absolutely. So we're looking after all of our clients to make sure that they get their full entitlement to the boost with the lodgement of that March BAS.
Okay. Yep.
Just a word of warning for those other people out there, and there's certainly been a number of, let's call it, schemes going around how we can artificially boost our boost.
Yes.
That the Australian Taxation Office has introduced what they call integrity measures,
Yes.
and they will be reviewing any abnormal changes.
Yes.
You've obviously been lodging your BASs for a number of periods. If there's all of a sudden a spike, or there appears to be a change in the way that you're trading, they will in fact review that, and they will effectively look at that as fraud. So you potentially will miss out on the full amount of your boost.
Yes.
Not just what you've increased it by, the full amount of your boost. So you need to be very careful with respect to that March BAS, because that's how you're going to claim it. The calculation of your boost is actually done by the tax office, not by your accountant. It's done by the tax office based on the March BAS that you have just lodged. Another point to note is that the second payment that you're going to get is actually split into two. So if you're entitled to get $10,000 in that second payment,
June, September,
it'll be half of it in June. You'll get 5 of it in June based on lodging the June BAS, and you'll get the other half in September based on lodging the June BAS. There are also some rules in place regarding those people that actually lodge their BASs monthly.
Yes.
So they've got a formula to calculate that out to work out how much of that boost that you get.
That's a really good advice, mate. So now also obviously just out of what you are talking here, obviously you guys have been very busy, very busy, I would imagine, isn't it, in last couple of weeks to navigate all these things? A lot of confusion happening.
Yeah, look, we have been extremely busy trying. Look, and it's not as much. Well, look, it is a lot about the stimulus package.
Yes.
But it's also about the closing down of dental practices, the ability to only do emergency work.
Yes.
How they can make sure that they can, as the Treasurer calls it, hibernate their business for a period of time.
Yes.
Where possible, still provide service to their patient base.
Yes.
And then be ready and set to reopen and reinvigorate that business when the time comes, which sort of leads to the webinar that we're doing together in a couple of weeks time, because it's not just about this stimulus package. It's also about managing your cash flow, looking at your finances, getting prepared for your marketing, looking at legal issues that may come up, legal issues in particular with respect to your lease that you may have taken or needed to take a rent holiday with respect to the surgery premises, and making sure that you're fit and healthy, if that's the right way to put it, to get the business back online down the track. Just as we finish up on this cash boost, you'll get the dollars as and when you lodge your business activity statement.
Yes.
Now the boost won't come through to you as a full refund.
Yes.
It will be applied against the liabilities that you have
Mm-hmm.
on that March business activity statement. Okay,
Right.
so if there's GST outstanding or there's pay-as-you-go withholding tax
Yes.
on there,
Mm-hmm.
it will go against those first.
Mm-hmm.
Any excess will then be refunded to you.
That's fair enough.
And
Mm-hmm.
the tax office have advised that they will not, under any circumstances, apply that refund against any old debts that you may have.
Okay.
So if your December BAS you may not have paid yet,
Yep.
they won't apply it against that. That'll just stay as
As it is.
outstanding. They
Mm-hmm.
will, in fact, give you the cash refund where there's an excess. There's
Okay.
a whole lot of other measures.
Mm.
And I must say, amongst these measures and the other, the JobKeeper and Boost package items that I've spoken about,
Yes.
they generally don't have a time deadline that I must get it in tomorrow because
Yes.
otherwise I'll miss out. There is generally a fairly lengthy period of
Period.
time and it's backdated.
Yeah.
So you don't need to rush. What we've been finding with a lot of our clients is counterintuitively, it is actually better to wait until you know what
Yeah.
all the rules are
Exactly.
so that you can make the best possible claim with your, given your circumstances.
You bet.
So it's not necessary to rush, but it's a matter of keeping abreast of everything and then lodging things in a timely manner to your, best possible advantage.
Yeah. No,
Other measures, job seeker.
that's a really good advice. Sometimes you just have to be just to wait and patient. Not like even the toilet paper people are rushing about.
Yeah.
That doesn't that doesn't apply here, isn't it?
That's right. You
Yeah.
can
Let's.
subscribe here and we'll send you a free toilet roll. I think that's over. I think we're onto the booze side now.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to get some alcohol into their
Yeah.
system,
Right.
and some chocolate too over the Easter break.
Yep.
Okay, so with the job
Job seeker.
seeker, okay, this is effectively your unemployment benefits in the
Yes.
old terminology.
Right.
It should end up being around $1,100, and that's inclusive of the coronavirus supplement of $550 per fortnight.
Okay.
So that's $1,100 roughly as a base.
Yes.
It will go up for some people where they're entitled to family allowances and or rent assistance and those type of things.
Right.
If you're on job seeker, you would then also be entitled to the $750 additional payment
Yes.
to all welfare recipients.
Yes.
This part is in fact tax-free, and some of it's already been paid out. But again, if you did need to be on job seeker and you are a welfare recipient, I think you've still got till 13th of April.
Right.
So it's only just next week to make sure you're on and still be able to get the $750. So that's one that if you are in that area, you need to get on and be registered pretty soon.
Yep.
And there's a second $750 that's coming in July.
Right. So there's two, one
Okay.
April and July.
Yep,
Okay. Yep.
there's
Fair
two.
enough.
So your comparison between the job keeper is $1,500 on that side.
Yes.
But if you happen to fall through the net and you don't have work and other circumstances are there, you should still be able to get the $1,100.
Yeah.
There's also an apprentice or trainee subsidy,
Yes.
which is 50% of what you may be paying the trainee. I think this is a difficult one for dentists in particular to keep on a trainee or an apprentice when there's only emergency work going and there's not much else to do. So it's probably more likely that those apprentices and trainees will go on to the $1,500 JobKeeper one.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is probably a better option at this stage, and then they stay on the books and they're ready to start up again when things get back to normal. The other bit which everyone has been talking about is access to $10,000 in super.
Yes.
You can get 2 lots. You can apply and get it before the 30th of June.
Yes.
And then if you still need it, you can get another $10,000 if necessary for if you do that before, I think, the 29th of September.
Right.
This is done on your own account through the MyGov, through your MyGov account. As long as the ATO gives approval, that goes through to your super fund, and then $10,000 can be released. In my opinion, this is a last resort. This is where you can't afford to feed yourself. You've got some serious issues that you would draw that out of your super fund. It is tax-free, and I have seen, again, schemes doing the rounds where we could put $25,000 in, we could get a tax deduction, and we get $10,000 back out tax-free. This is just an absolute no-no. This is you presuming that the tax office is blind to all these transactions, and that at some stage down the track, they're going to look into the transaction and go, $25,000 going in. You obviously didn't need the $10,000. And quite frankly, if they catch it quick enough, they will just not allow the $10,000 to come back out.
That's a really good advice, man. That's really good
I
advice.
think if you need to look at all of these packages as being to help you survive the current circumstances and to recompensate you for what you have lost, and not how can I take the most advantage out of it. We need to be sensible, and we need to be very, very aware that the tax office has now got minute-to-minute reporting whenever you pay wages, and it goes through on the single touch payroll system. And obviously this is all designed around single touch payroll, the pay-as-you-go tax that you withhold from wages, the business activity statements that you lodge. You're giving them all the information necessary to either deny your claim now or come back at a later stage and hit you with penalties and repayment of the of any boost you may have received, if that's considered to be done as part of a scheme.
No, that's very
if
much
you need it,
well
if you
explained,
need
right?
it, take it out by all means. Okay. Those that are on larger wages, your payroll tax, if you're paying payroll tax, that'll be refunded through back through to 1st of July 2019. So the last 8 or 9 months, you'll get that payroll tax back. I believe State Revenue Office are doing that effectively automated. So I'm not too sure that you need to actually apply, but may just help to go online and just see if that one's there. There's also access to business loans of up to $250,000.
Interesting.
And that is 50% government guaranteed with the banks. So the banks are only taking half the risk. Predominantly, the government realises that people that are sticking their hand out now to get some funding for their business are to some extent in dire straits, and that loan would either be unsecured at a very high rate, or they would not be able to get the loan. So the government across the board has said, look, we will guarantee half of that loan. Obviously, the bank is carrying the guarantee for the rest, and that it should be at reasonable interest rates. From what I have seen so far, the interest rates are reasonable. And it is not a $250,000 loan. It is up to $250,000 loan for business purposes.
Which means they can buy equipment, they can buy any.
I think you just keep cash flow going in the business where they are paying the rent instead of deferring it. They may have a difficult situation with the landlord.
Understand.
We have a number of our surgeries that are in shopping centres and those sort of places where it's a corporate landlord, and there's not as much negotiating skills.
That's the very hard part.
A lot of those leases. So if things are tough on that side and you needed to get the funding, then that's the idea, to get the loan. Again, in my opinion, if you're able to get a loan so that you can meet your other loan repayments and those sort of things, that is often a preferred option to putting a freeze on your loan repayments,
Right.
because it gives you the flexibility to keep continuing to move. Yes, your debt's growing with the existing loan or line of credit that you've got,
Yes.
but you've got flexibility with your existing lender to manipulate with that loan. It's not frozen. They could, in fact, maybe increase it down the track. They're
Yep.
still charging a low interest rate,
Mm-hmm.
so it keeps everything as though the business was continuing to run.
Yep.
So that
No,
bit's
that's
good. The other bit from the tax office
tax.
is that
Mm-hmm.
if you have a tax debt that arose in the 2020 year, so that's
Yes.
something from January onwards,
Yep.
be it a tax return or business activity statement debt, GST, those type of things, they are reasonably forward in offering a deferral payment arrangement.
Yes.
So you don't need to make any payments for a period of time. Their interest rate on those debts has decreased, and they're also, with respect to quarterly instalments of tax
Yes.
on a personal basis,
Yes.
they're happy to look at certainly variation of the March quarter,
Yes.
but they will also look at variations for the previous 2 quarters that you may have already paid,
Yep.
and that you will get those amounts refunded to you. It's important to note that even though you may get all of your instalments for the 1920 year refunded, it does not mean that your tax liability has evaporated. Your tax liability for the 1920 year will appear when you lodge your 2020 tax return.
Yep.
And at that stage, you'll be up for the full amount of tax with no credits applied against it, because they've obviously been refunded. So you just need to look a little bit ahead. We've probably got people that are in both camps. Some say, look, I really need to make sure I've got cash flow and I need to take those dollars back,
Yep.
and I'll worry about it in 2021 when I do need to make the payment.
Yep.
And we've got other people that are saying, well, look,
Different.
I'd rather have at least half the year's credit sitting there,
Yep.
and I don't want my business to be put into further shock when I am reopened in 2021 with another big tax bill. So I'd rather have some of that paid in advance. So again, it's a decision, and this is what we've found is taking a significant amount of our time, not just understanding all the options that are open, but applying them to everyone's personal circumstances. Because even though, most of our clients are all operating in a dental surgery,
Yes.
and it's a very similar business. We don't have restaurants. We don't have other businesses. We only deal with dentists and to some extent in the medical specialists.
Yes.
Their circumstances are all completely different. They may have been running their practice for 1 or 2 years. They may have multiple chairs, huge amounts of debt, no debt. All of those sort of circumstances. They may have been close to retirement. They may have in fact had their surgery on the market ready to sell, and then all of this is transpired.
Yep.
So whole range of different circumstances for clients, and we're dealing with them as promptly as we can, and ensuring that we make sure they're on the best footing to get through this.
Absolutely.
And also to come out the other side.
No, thank you, Matt. That was really well summarized, very well, and I understand. And glad that you mentioned. Obviously, there's so many changes happening, and to navigate the changes, and that's one of the thing is being as a specialist, being as a dental specialist, accounting specialist is a key, because then only that can help for your clients or the new clients, whoever coming on board, to maximize all these benefits. But at the same time, in a layman, I'm just thinking, those who you are not serving, or they're just the normal accountants, that might be a lot harder, I would imagine, isn't it, to understand first and then customize and then again apply on the industry. It would be a pretty challenging.
Yeah, well, look, absolutely, particularly because the legislation and everything is being pushed through so rapidly, and it's changing a whole lot of other rules within the tax system. That it's pretty well a minefield to run your way through it. I mean, we have a number of clients that are most certainly perfectly competent, or their bookkeeper or practice manager is
Yes.
competent in lodging their quarterly BASs.
Yes.
But understandably, most of those we have recommended
Mm-hmm.
that this one, on
Mm.
which the stimulus payment relies,
Mm.
we should review that and make sure that it's, presented in the best possible
Totally.
manner. Also,
Totally.
given our relationship with the Australian Dental Association
Mm-hmm.
Victoria branch,
Mm.
we do and continue to offer consultations to members of the ADAVB,
Yeah.
even though they're not our clients,
Mm-hmm.
and we're more than happy to continue doing that. So if there's a particular issue that they can't get resolved, please, contact our office, MW partners. Most of us are all remote anyway,
Yes.
but we've got our, contacts in through
Mm-hmm.
the tax office, and we're working, quite well remotely.
That's a really a good advice, Albert. Thank you so much. So obviously we are running up the events as well. How to be a recession proof. Obviously, you would be going deep diving into the event. Could you please share a little bit about that,
Yeah, well,
Albert,
look,
please?
certainly there'll
Mm-hmm.
be a good chunk of what I'm talking about
Yeah.
on this stimulus package.
Mm-hmm.
Again, given it's in a couple of weeks' time,
Mm.
anything that comes up on those packages will obviously be updated in my talk, and
Mm-hmm.
people still won't be too late to apply for
Mm.
any of the things in that stimulus package. But I'm
Yes.
also going to be making sure that I look at cash flow and
Mm-hmm.
how to manage your business
Mm.
and those type of things. And
Mm.
this is going to be a similar thing with the other speakers that are there.
Yes.
Um, we will be going into a recession, and
Yes.
it's really a matter of how well we're able to come out the other side. So all the information that's going to be presented is going to be very, very valuable to all of our dental clients.
Absolutely, and I've got a Dr. Padma, who is a practice growth specialist. She would be sharing about how the mindset is so important. How you talk with your team, with your mindset, and what exactly the practice owner should be doing. So, very simple step which she is implementing right now for all of her practices. So she would be sharing that, and I would be obviously sharing about communications and marketing, because in last few weeks we have seen not everyone, but some of them just close everything and no communication. So it's very important, when you look on the other side after post COVID-19, you don't want to again restart everything and almost a startup business. So what we are saying is you must need to communicate in a regular basis, and so some of the strategies I'll be sharing, and obviously our friend who is a legal advisor, Dallas, he would be sharing about the contracts and other few details as well. Now, thank you so much, Albert. I can see that it's a 29th, not the 9th. I think there's a bit of the date was 29th. It's 10 a.m. I know there's the
Whoops.
girls, they were playing around with the slide. So I think they just, whatever the spacing is, 29th. So if you're watching this video, 29th, lock it in your calendar. And if you like this video, feel free to share it. We are already live in MW and number of Facebook channel. Feel free to share, like, and comments. Is there any other things you would like to share at this point, Albert, before we wrap up
No,
this?
look, no, I think we've covered everything. I really want to make sure that there's not a single dentist out there that's feeling alone or not able to, reach out and get some assistance from us. You can always go to our website. We
Yes.
try and keep that updated as much as possible. Details of the upcoming seminar are posted on there.
Yes.
I'm also doing a webinar for the Australian Dental Association as
Correct.
well, so people can link into that. So we've got plenty of information for everyone, so that they can
Absolutely.
keep calm, keep safe, and
Absolutely,
stay
and
healthy.
we believe that as being a trusted advisor, it is important for our clients to give an update what's happening, and it's very unprecedented time. So giving up all the update what they are supposed to. So idea here is to again taking them from survival to sustainable mode, isn't it, Albert?
Yep.
Thank
Yeah,
you, man.
absolutely.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your time. You've been very generous and great tips. And yeah, we'll look forward to sharing in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay, bye now.
Thanks, mate. Bye for now.